My name is Corporal James Whitaker, 2nd Battalion, 110th Infantry Regiment. It was December 17th, 1944, one day after the Germans launched their last major offensive through the Ardennes. Most called it the Battle of the Bulge. We were called the Ice Rats, always the first in, last out. The snow had turned red more times than I could count. That morning, we were ordered into a dense section of the Ardennes forest. A platoon, about 30 men from Easy Company, had gone radio silent after being dispatched the night before. No SOS, no gunfire, no signs of retreat. They'd simply vanished. Command figured it was a busted radio or maybe a German ambush. Our recon squad, 5 of us in total, was sent to find them. Bring them back if we could, or recover dog tags if we couldn't. The fog was thicker than soup. Even by Ardennes standards, it was unnatural. I couldn't see more than 10 feet in front of me. The trees loomed like ghosts, frosted white and skeletal. Every branch creaked like bones snapping under pressure. Sarge, a grizzled bastard named Miller, led the way. Jenkins and Reyes followed, then me and Doc Brandt bringing up the rear. We moved in radio silence. Not just because of protocol, something about that forest demanded quiet, like it was listening or waiting. About 2 miles in, we found the first sign, a helmet. American issue, no blood, no bullet holes. Just sitting there in the snow, perfectly placed, like someone had taken it off and set it down gently. "That's Easy's mark," Jenkins whispered, crouching down to inspect it. He flipped it over. Inside, the initials RM were scratched. Private Robert McLean, from Jersey. I met him once. We pressed on. Then we found the camp. Tent still stood, unzipped but not torn. Rations left half-eaten. Rifles stacked neatly against a tree, just like in training exercises. Footprints were everywhere. Some led away into the woods, but most just stopped. No drag marks, no blood. It was as if they'd stood up and vanished into thin air. "This ain't right," Brandt murmured. He clutched his medic bag tighter. Miller looked pale. "We're not leaving until we find someone. Spread out, stay in sight." We did, but staying in sight was near impossible with that fog. It seemed to bend light, swallow sound. I turned for a second, checking a small ridge, and when I looked back, Reyes was gone, just gone. "Reyes!" I shouted. Nothing. The other 3 came running back. Jenkins was breathing heavy. What the hell happened? He was right next to me. Then he wasn't. We searched for hours. Yelling, whistling, gun drawn, no tracks, no signs of struggle. Only thing we found was another rifle, warm to the touch, like it had just been held. The sun began to set. The forest got colder, and something was watching us. We made camp near the remnants of Easy Company's position. We were too rattled to risk moving through the woods at night. Brandt set up a small perimeter with trip flares and jingling canisters, makeshift alarms. None of us were eager to sleep, but exhaustion had other plans. I took first watch. The forest was unnaturally quiet. No wind, no birds, just the sound of snowflakes falling and my own breath clouding in front of me. That's when I heard the first whisper. It was faint, like wind threading through pine needles, but distinct. It said my name, not shouted, not mumbled, spoken clearly, softly. "Whitaker." I snapped the safety off my rifle and scanned the tree line. Nothing. Then again. "Whitaker, come help us." This time it came from behind me. I spun around. My flashlight beam caught only snow and trees. Then movement. A figure standing just beyond the fog. Too blurry to see clearly, but I swear it looked like Reyes. He raised a hand, beckoning. "Sarge!" I shouted, backing toward the center of camp. "We got something out there!" The others scrambled up, weapons drawn. Jenkins ran to my side, rifle shaking. Miller checked the flares. None were triggered. "You sure you saw something?" "I know what I saw," I said. But now, there was nothing. The rest of the night passed in uneasy silence. No more whispers, no more figures. Just that thick, suffocating fog. At dawn, we packed up and pushed deeper into the forest. Sarge wanted answers. He wouldn't say it, but I think he was afraid of what would happen if we turned back too soon. About an hour in, Jenkins stopped cold. He pointed to a tree. Scratched into the bark, letters, fresh, jagged. Help us underneath it in smaller writing, trapped. Beneath, echoes. None of us knew what that meant, but Brant, visibly shaking, whispered, "This is a bad place. This forest remembers pain." I wanted to laugh. What the hell did that mean? But I didn't, because I felt it too. Then the screaming started. It wasn't the scream of a man being shot or even burned, but it was high-pitched, ragged, like someone screaming underwater, clawing at their throat as if trying to pull something out. And worse, it came from below. We all froze. Jenkins was the first to speak. "Did that come from underground?" "Sounded like it," Miller muttered. He dropped to his knees, pressed his ear to the snow, then looked up at us with wide eyes. "There's something down there." We fanned out, slowly circling the area, about 30 feet from the tree with the carvings. Jenkins found it, an old stone well, mostly hidden by snow and moss. The rocks were aged, worn down by time, no rope, no bucket, just darkness yawning beneath us. "Well, hell," I said. "You thinking what I'm thinking?" "Whatever it is," Miller replied, "they went down there, or something came up." We argued about whether to investigate. Brant was against it. Jenkins was scared but curious. Sarge didn't speak. He just stared into the hole like it was staring back. Eventually, Miller tied a flare to a length of rope from his pack and lowered it down. 10 feet, 20, 30. It touched bottom at about 45 feet. Then the light flickered and went out. "You saw that?" Jenkins said. "Yeah," Miller nodded. "It didn't burn out. It was snuffed." Then we heard the whispers again. Only this time, they were louder. "Clearer. Help us." "It's cold. So cold." "I don't trust the voices," Brant whispered. "They lie." I turned to him. "What are you talking about?" He looked at me with hollow eyes. "This forest, it's cursed. My grandfather told me stories. He fought in the Great War. He said men disappeared in these woods back then too. Whole units, no trace." Before anyone could respond, Jenkins let out a yell and stumbled backward. He had gotten too close to the well, and something had reached out. He had scratches down his neck, not deep, but raw and red. "It touched me," he screamed. "Whatever it is, it's real!" Miller raised his rifle and pointed it into the well. "We seal this thing up. Now, what about Rhea's Easy Company?" I asked. He lowered the rifle slowly. "We come back with fire, with backup. This is beyond us." But we all knew. None of us were making it back without something following. That night, we didn't sleep. Jenkins tied a bandage around his neck but kept twitching like he still felt fingers on his skin. Brant sat cross-legged near the fire, staring into the flames, muttering prayers under his breath. Miller drew maps, maybe to keep his mind busy, maybe because he knew something was coming. It started with the snow. Around midnight, it stopped falling, and then it rose, like ash in reverse, flakes lifting into the air, swirling upward in spirals. The fog twisted around us, not just obscuring our vision, but moving with purpose. From the darkness, footsteps, dozens, surrounding us. Then the shapes emerged. First, we thought they were men, figures in American uniforms, faces pale, eyes hollow, but they weren't breathing. Their mouths hung open like they were trying to scream but had forgotten how. And they were too still. "Easy Company," I whispered. "No," Brant said, "not anymore." One stepped forward, his name tag still visible. McLean. He raised a hand and pointed at the well. "Join us," he said. No one moved. The apparition, because that's what it had to be, it couldn't be Private McLean anymore, stood stiff as a board, arm raised toward the well. His skin was gray-blue, frosted over like ice beneath glass. The hollowness in his eyes wasn't just emptiness, it was hunger. "Join us," he repeated. voice a broken echo that didn't seem to come from his mouth, but from the trees, the fog, the ground. Brant clutched his cross and backed away, whispering prayers too fast to understand. Miller finally broke the silence. "This is a hallucination. A trick." Fog does weird things to a man's mind. But then the others appeared. 2, 5, a dozen, all in Easy Company uniforms. Some missing boots, others with frostbitten fingers, skin blackened and flaking. A few had bullet holes that didn't bleed, just dark gaps in their torsos. And all of them pointed at the well. A sound rose behind them, something deeper, ancient, like groaning timbers or metal grinding under immense weight. It came from the earth. The well began to pulse with a sickly blue glow, as if breathing. Jenkins screamed and fired. The muzzle flash lit up the trees in bursts. 1, 2, 3 shots, and then silence. The ghosts didn't flinch. Then they moved. Fast. Too fast. No running, no walking, shifting. One moment they were yards away. The next, they were in our camp. I was tackled backward by cold, heavy limbs. A face slammed into mine. Dead eyes, split lips. I punched and shoved, but it was like hitting ice. Miller tackled it off me and emptied his sidearm into its chest. The thing jerked with each hit, then collapsed, melting into black slush before our eyes. "Fall back!" Miller roared. "To the ridge, now!" We ran. God help us, we ran through that cursed fog, those shapes sliding between the trees like shadows. Jenkins tripped. Brant and I hauled him up. Behind us, more of the slush things rose from the snow, clawing at the ground, groaning in unison. We reached the ridge and dropped behind a fallen tree. Miller raised his rifle, eyes locked on the tree line. "Brant, that well, you said your grandfather knew something?" Brant was shaking, eyes bloodshot. He said it wasn't just a forest. It was a mouth, a place that eats men in memory. He said the Ardennes hid older things than war. What kind of things? Brant slowly looked at us. Things that made gods. The ghost things didn't pursue past the ridge. They stood there, lined up like sentinels in the fog, watching, waiting. The ground beneath us pulsed again, barely perceptible, like the tremor before an avalanche. "It's not about the men," Brant said. "It's the place. It wants you to come willingly. That's the trick." "Then why attack us?" Jenkins asked, still clutching his scratched neck. "To wear you down, break you. So when you finally step in, it's your choice." Miller cursed and reached into his pack, pulling out thermite charges. "We're blowing that goddamn well right now." We argued, we begged, but he was already heading back, alone. "I'll cover him," I said, gripping my rifle. Jenkins and Brant stayed behind as I followed Miller into the swirling fog. We reached the clearing. The well stood like a mouth in the center of madness. The fog churned and spiraled above it, creating a vortex of windless snow and rising ash. As Miller prepared the charge, I caught a movement from the corner of my eye. Reyes. He stood just past the clearing, whole and untouched, smiling. "You came back," he said. "Reyes?" I lowered my rifle. "Are you—" "Don't listen," Miller barked. "That's not him." "I'm here, James," Reyes said. "Help me, pull me out. I'm still in there." I took a step forward, then another, until Miller grabbed me. "No, look!" I blinked, and Reyes's face shifted. The smile widened too far, teeth far too many. His eyes, black pits. Then the shape melted, falling into the snow like wax. "Set the charge!" I screamed. Miller dropped the thermite down the well. We turned and ran. Behind us, howling. From below. We dove behind a ridge as the charge went off. Heat, fire, light. The forest shook, trees split. The ground cracked. Then silence. And then screaming, hundreds of voices, not from the woods, but from within us, our own thoughts. Our names, shouted, cried, begged. The forest was in our heads. And then nothing, just snow. 3 days later, we stumbled into Allied lines, starved, frozen, half mad. They didn't believe us. They marked Easy Company as KIA, enemy ambush. We were given psych evaluations, then reassigned. Jenkins never spoke again. Brandt was discharged, hallucinations and religious mania. Miller. He put a bullet in his brain 6 months later. As for me, I still hear them. Every time it snows, every time fog rolls in, I hear them. My name, whispered in pines. Whitaker, join us. I sleep with the lights on. I move far from the woods. But some nights, I wake up standing at my front door, with my hand on the knob, and the fog outside thick as soup, whispering, calling me home.